At present is myself, Vice President of the BFT Committee, Mr. DeHart, as well as Mr. Harding is present. All other board members are here and present, Superintendent Ogeron and members of his staff. Number 2, the committee recommends that the board approve the request of VICI Hoops LLC to waive policy file E1.6, use of school facilities relative to the usage fee for Southdown Elementary School's gym for the 2022-2023 basketball season, provided that the necessary insurance, nonprofit status, and all other school board policy requirements are met, and approval is obtained from the school's principal.
So moved.
So moved, Mr. Harding. Second, myself. Any public comments? Mr. Harding?
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Vice, this is the same agreement or terms that this group had last year. Nothing changed. It's pretty much nothing changed with the group.
Yep.
Everything is the same.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir. And,
Thank you.
and as well as, you know, like we've done before, schools have priority. So if there was any kind of emergency, anything else, the school system would have priority in this. Okay. Mr. DeHart?
Is Mr. Jimmy Gager here? Right here. Would you please come up, please?
Yeah.
How you doing, sir? Doing great. How many students are we talking about? Is it kids from our school system, Vanderbilt, or just the parish, or what?
Yeah, it's just parish kids. It's typically around 10. Sometimes it can get up to 30.
Okay.
Most of the time, it's around 10.
Well, keeping them occupied is a blessing, so I'll just encourage you. And you didn't have any problems at all last year?
Zero. It went fantastic, and we appreciate, you know, the continued use. We had no problems. Kids enjoyed themselves. If anything, hopefully, there could be more participation, hopefully,
Yes, sir.
this year.
But last
So-
year, nobody was here present that I remember. And maybe I'm
No,
wrong.
everything was fine. Everything was
But I
fine.
just want to make sure everything was the same, and how many kids we're talking about.
Same,
Keeping them
except-
occupied is great.
Possibly more kids, but generally it'll be the same. And like you said, it's to keep them doing things besides staying on, you know, their Xbox or their PlayStations.
You're right.
So-
Thank you. Good luck.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you,
for
sir.
coming up.
Any other board members?
Yeah,
Yes, Mr.
I want to say compliment Mr. Gager on that program, because there are a lot of young people playing that who didn't play in other leagues, and I would like to see it grow from 30 to maybe 50. It give kids opportunities, so it's a good program, and I'm gonna always support it, and I think this board will, you know, it just give the kids a second program to TPR or AAU, and I like us that helping those programs out.
Thank you,
One more
Mr.
last,
DeGar.
Mr. Vice, if you don't mind.
Yes, go ahead.
And I think what's so good about this program is that, of course, they can't charge, but they're not charging anything, and it's welcome to anybody. And it's a combination of public school and a combination of private school, so they don't discriminate, so and that's what I like about it, and they're all kids, and they're gonna be eventually our kids one day anyway, so that's a good thing about it.
Good point. Mr. Ford?
Mr. Gager, thank you for coming tonight. I know you're in good company when it comes to this program. Mr. DeRoche, Mr. Kennard, those are guys that I played ball with, and they're pillars in this community. But I would like to see, you know, we like to bring good news, not only what's going on around the district, but what we're doing for others in the district too. So assuming this will go to the full board, I'd like to see maybe just some pictures, even just not even a real presentation, just something for us to kind of use to tout what we're doing, because we like to afford these opportunities for programs in our community, but no one ever hears about it except for at a committee meeting and at a board meeting once a year. So I'd like to see us kind of showing off those things that we're doing, especially since we built that, you know, that school, our lighthouse school, our flagship of the district, and I'd like to use, you know, some pictures and whatnot from that gym, because that gym's one of the oldest buildings in this district, and I'd like people to see how we've renovated it and what's going on there, what kind of, you know, things are happening and how it's being utilized. So if you could bring us some photos, even just email them to somebody and get them to us so we can use them, and, you know, just kind of brag about what we're doing out there.
Yes, sir, I can do that.
Appreciate it.
I can be your contact, Mr. Gidry.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Guidry. Appreciate it. Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. Number 3, the committee recommends that the board authorize the Child Nutrition Department to proceed with the advertisement of 6-month bids, January 1st, 2023 through June 30, 2023, for meats and frozen items and canned and dry goods for the 2023 spring school session.
So moved.
So move, Mr. DeHart. Second, Mr. Harding. Any public comments? Mr. DeHart?
No, sir, no comment.
Mr. Harding?
Thank
Any other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. Number 4, the committee recommends that the board reject all bids received from the custodial cleaning products contract for the 2022-2023 school year. So move, Mr. Harding.
Second.
Mr. DeHart. Any public comments? Mr. Harding?
No, sir.
Mr. DeHart?
No.
Any other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. Number 5, the committee recommends that the board authorize the purchasing department to advertise for requests for proposals for an environmental consultant.
So moved.
So move, Mr. DeHart. Second, Mr. Harding. Any public comments? Mr. DeHart?
No, sir.
Mr. Harding?
No, sir.
Any other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. Number 6, the committee recommends that the board authorize the purchasing department to advertise for bids for abatement services at Upper Little Caillou Elementary School due to the impacts of Hurricane Ida.
So moved.
So move, Mr. DeHart. Second, Mr. Harding. Any public comments? Mr. DeHart?
No, sir, not at this time.
Mr. Harding?
No, sir.
Any other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. Number 7, the committee recommends that the board approve the substantial completion of the temporary campus project at Ellender Memorial High School dated July 15, 2022, subject to the punch list upon completion of the list, final inspection, balancing credit change order, and receipt of the lien-free certificate, authorize the release of retainage, and further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto.
So moved.
So move, Mr. DeHart. Second, Mr. Harding. Any public comments? Mr. DeHart?
No, sir.
Mr. Harding?
No, sir.
Any other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. Number 8, the committee recommends that the board approve the substantial completion of the temporary campus project at South Terrebonne High School dated July 15, 2022, subject to the punch list. Upon completion of the punch list, final inspection, balancing credit change order, and receipt of the lien-free certificate, authorize the release of retainage, and further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto. So move, Mr. Harding. Second, Mr. DeHart. Any public comments? Mr. Harding?
No, sir.
Mr. DeHart?
No.
Any other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. Number 9, the committee recommends that the board authorize the superintendent to proceed with the selection of one or more architects for the plan and design of school building and perimeter safety and security. So move, Mr. Harding.
Here.
Second, Mr. DeHart. Any public comments? Mr. Harding? Mr. DeHart?
No, sir.
Mr. Ogeron?
So just to elaborate on this recommendation, so currently we have in all our schools, single point entry, we have perimeter access doors. We've done that recently. We have camera systems. We have SROs in several of our schools looking to expand that. As they become available, we're looking to increase the amount of SROs. We have metal detectors that we've ordered and will be in for our high schools to use if and as needed. This would be in addition to that. This would be phase 1. We're looking at perimeter fencing. We want to get fencing in all of our schools as soon as we can. We want to see this work done soon. So this is the intent of this recommendation, is to get with an architect to help us design and come up with systems to kind of get that done. So that would be phase 1. Phase 2 would be looking at the glass, the perimeter glass, to make that as secure as it can be so that it's not easily penetrated. So that would be another phase of this. And finally, vestibules in schools that we can have a foyer of sorts, so people would come in, they're contained in there before they get to any areas of the school.
So that's this recommendation.
Mr. Ogeron, I have a question. What about the cameras? Are we getting cameras at some of these
It's all,
sites?
for our temporary campuses, cameras will be coming, electricals being installed, so we can do cameras and wired up and ready. So that's coming.
Okay.
All of our other schools have a minimum of 16 cameras.
Correct.
For the most part.
Yeah, okay,
Some
thank
have
you.
quite more, but that's kind of the standard we can follow.
Okay, good. Mr. DeHart.
Mr. Armstrong, are y'all including the thoughts of Terrebonne High School, maybe having offices downstairs?
Yes, sir.
That's a big thing.
Yes, sir.
That'd be in part of this, maybe?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Currently, what we've done
Thank you.
along those lines at Terrebonne High, the SRO has now kind of come down to the
Yes.
first floor. So we have that covered. Mr. Ford kind of had that conversation with me, and we've kind of made that happen. So, but the office does need to come out. That's a big
Yeah.
project, but it does need to happen.
But it makes the building more protected by not having parents or anybody
Going up the
visiting
stairs
all
and
over.
have access.
You don't know where they're going.
That's
Correct,
right.
correct. Mr. Lagarde.
Yeah, I'm ashamed we have to do this, but it's the times that we have to do it. You know, our schools were supposed to be open and fun, and now we have to put protective fences to keep people out. You know, that's a shame. But I also, I knew Terrebonne, they have that open where they go at lunchtime.
Yes, sir.
You know, and that's a concern, and I'm gonna say this again. I hate those teachers walking across the highway.
Yes, sir.
You know, and it's just something for the future, you know. I think we have to look at for safety reasons, but I'm with you with, you know, we have to do what we have to do, but it's just
Mr.
a shame.
Mr. Legore, I can't say that this is where we're going, but one thing
Yeah.
we did look at Terrebonne is putting a big gate across that area that can either be manually or mechanically open and closed at certain times when kids are out there. We'd have to obviously open for buses still and sporting events, but we can maybe do that, I think, with pedestrian gates as well.
Mr. Harding.
Yeah, and I'm in favor of all that, but I think that we also need to, and this might not be the right time to discuss it, but I mean, if we're talking about cameras and, you say those little metal detectors and all that, I mean, just recently, we just saw what happened at one of those little league football games. Gun went off. Guy got killed.
Where?
The guy got killed. So the point I'm saying is that we're missing a big part of that. We have last year at Terrebonne High, I think it was a football game where they pulled 3 or 4 guns off these kids. And we dodging a bullet, I'm telling you. We might need to somehow, some way look at, I don't know how you can do it, put metal detectors at those games to do not allow those kids in the game because it's rivalries. Anything can happen. They start shooting, you know what, bullets do not have a name, and sometimes the wrong person end up getting hit. You know, so we really need to look at doing that. If you got those metal detectors, you might need to deploy those metal detectors at some of those games. It might take a little longer for people to get in there, but guess what?
Yeah.
Save the overruled time. At the same way you go to the airport now. You got to go 2 or 3 hours earlier to the airport to get on the airplane because of safety reasons. And that'll be a plus. I think that we can't miss that. We can't miss that opportunity. If we're going to do what you say we're doing, we cannot miss that opportunity. I know what goes on. We know. Everybody here knows rivalries and different stuff happen.
Let me see, yes, sir. We agree, Mr. Harding. The good thing about the metal detectors, they're all portable, so we can do exactly what you said, if and as needed, or maybe more frequently, maybe on a regular basis.
Good point. Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up, yes, sir.
Ms. Benoit.
Thank you. I agree with all what is said, and I especially agree, and that's not probably what we were talking about as far as securing the campus, but what Mr. Lagarde said about these teachers crossing the road, especially when the time changes. It's dark, and people don't see, and they don't slow down. I don't know if we need a light or something that would caution people to stop when somebody's walking across the road. But that wasn't really my first thing that I wanted to bring up. It was more about, I'm sure here that you would select from the approved architect list that the board has approved for selecting one. My concern is that, do we need to expand on that? We have so many of our architects that are already involved in our school work right now. Should we not expand that list so that we can, get someone right away
So
instead of
I
waiting?
think you're dead on, that's a criteria, is that they have to be available to
Right.
do this work immediately.
Right.
And not be delayed with other projects. So we did talk about that as being a requirement for the
Okay.
selection of this.
But again.
And if we have to expand.
Okay, that's what I want to say, that if we need to expand to include more architects, even out of town,
Yes, ma'am.
we should look at that so that work can get done immediately.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dr. Trahan?
I agree. Thank you, Mr. Harding. I never thought about the stadiums. That's a good point. Thank you. What I want to bring up is to reassure our parents that the temporary campuses at South Terrebonne and Ellenda is going to be a priority to fence in and get a single entry point. Right now, we don't have that because of the fact that we just finished up putting everything together and getting the school open. But it is a priority, and we are working on the fencing and getting that single point of entry set up as soon as possible for our temporary campuses.
Thank you. Mr. Hamner?
It's so long, I almost forgot my question.
I have a list.
My question is along the same lines as what Ms. Bidwell was saying. Currently, we already have architects assigned to just about every school that's working with our two project managers. So the way I'm interpreting this motion is that you're going to select an additional architect for those schools, or are you going to hopefully use the same architect that is already assigned to those schools?
We could do it either way.
Well, that's my question. How you plan to do it?
Whatever's the best option, whoever can be available, Mr. Hamner, and whoever has the most expertise or experience with this, I think that would kind of take a lot of weight in the decision of who we choose. And I think we need to look at all our options, yes. I think giving it to the person right now may not get the job done as expediently as we need to. Having somebody that has that kind of time on their hands would be a better option. I think that would be the route we go. Experience and availability.
My concern would be in design. You can have two different.
Yes, sir, I'll follow you, yep. For some schools, it may affect the design. Others, I think it'll be totally separate from anything storm-related or things that they're working on currently. Like fencing, I don't think fencing will have a lot to do with design of what they're working on now. That's just me saying, I don't think that. If it is, we'd incorporate that with the architect that's currently doing the
Mr. Ford?
So Mr. Harding said something that I was going to bring up, and I don't know if he's aware of this, but LHSAA is actually, there's a couple of people that are on that board that have been bringing up the idea of requiring high school, not just football, but basketball, baseball, all these athletic events to be secure and have these type of metal detectors and type of things in place. Of course, that's down the line, but if we can be proactive and get it going now, we could set the standard. The other thing is, like Mr. Hamler was saying, there's people out there that specialize in security and especially in architectural security and security architecture, which, there's firms out there that, this is what they do. They go on campus and they look at not just schoolhouses, malls, shopping centers, government buildings. They look at layout, and they kind of say, okay, this is what needs to be done to make this more secure. A lot of times ex-military guys or guys that have worked in that as contractors. So there's people out there that do that. And not to say that our contractors and our architects wouldn't be capable of doing it, but they're specialized, so they have people out there that are specialized to do that. So maybe we should try to broaden that list and get some of those guys out here to give us a bid as fast as possible, of course, so we can get it going and have someone that's efficient and knows what they're talking about and get it done right away.
Okay.
Very good. Any other board members? Good. Let's see where I'm at. So, any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. Number 10. Committee recommends that the board authorize the purchasing department to advertise for requests for qualifications to develop a pool of mechanical and electrical engineers to provide engineering services for HVAC projects at various schools. Funds to be derived from ESSER 3 funds. So move, Mr. DeHart. Second, Mr. Harding. Any public comments? Mr. DeHart?
No, sir.
Mr. Harding? Any other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. Number 11, matter bearing upon update of Hurricane Ida. Ms. Burrow?
Good afternoon. I put at your places, separate from your packet, kind of a summary of, looks just like last month's summary, which we've updated with some things that have happened since our last month's update.
I saw that in the middle.
Everybody's got it?
Use colored paper next time.
I think I need to. Use bright pink next time. Okay, the first thing is that, we met with FEMA last week. We had an in-person meeting with FEMA and GOSEP specifically to discuss Upper Little Caillou and Grand Caillou Elementary. We did not get any answer from them, but they've asked us to submit to them some more information about the schools and about the damage, which we have done. So we're now waiting to hear back from them about what we can and can't do and what we need to do and how we need to move forward with those schools. In addition to that, architects are starting their design packages. We'll start seeing some bids going out soon. We're working on some of the legal documents that need to go along with those bids. Once we get that back from the attorney from their review, we'll be able to put some bids out for advertisement. The modulars at Broadmoor and Berg are coming along on schedule. The buildings have been delivered. They're on site. The prep work is just about done, and they'll start placing those pieces of those modular buildings real soon. Exciting news, which everybody knows already, is that the temporary campuses opened with the first day of school. That took tremendous effort by so many people. Everybody pitched in, from the warehouse to maintenance to the curriculum specialist to everybody was there working and doing what we needed to do to get those campuses open. The abatement of the floors that we did over the summer. We took out a lot of floors that had been damaged. All that was completed in time for school to start. We got clear air quality reports at all of those schools, and they have concrete floors right now, which they will stay like that until we fix the roofs, but all of that was complete over the summer. The only other thing, I have the FEMA update in here as well for you. Nothing has changed from last month. We haven't filed any additional project worksheets, and we have also not received any FEMA money or any FEMA funding yet from these project worksheets.
Ms. Burrow, I don't know if it's you that asked the question. I know ST, I'm not sure about Ellender, with the temporary campuses, they don't have Wi-Fi or access to that yet.
Right.
I don't know if it's called Wi-Fi or what is it?
It's Chris can speak to this, but the Wi-Fi has been ordered like since April. The little whatever you
yeah.
want to call them, it's just a little back order. So they do have internet, everything's just hardwired in. So all of the computer classes can hardwire and have internet. We do have hotspots, but they're not working that well for some reason. Chris, anything else to add to that?
Oh, yeah. One thing, we just actually worked with Cisco through Transformix, our vendor. Our order actually got pushed back again till the end of October. It would come in November, but they got with Cisco and let them know that we have schools that are shut down. Basically, they have 2,000 Chromebooks laying around that they can't use. So they created an emergency order for us. We're still going to get that other order in sometime in November, December, but this other order is going to schedule and release still on August 23rd. So we will get them from the original planned date. They've been giving us that date for the last couple months.
So to clarify, when are we expecting the
August
Wi?
23rd,
Au-
next week.
So we're
They
expecting to
should
get,
ship August 23rd, and Transformix is working, they're putting a team together to do what they call in grunt work. They're gonna come out, and we're gonna hit the classrooms and get them installed
Okay, awesome.
quickly, because it's a lot to do.
Right.
230 access points to get installed.
Access points,
Between
yeah.
3 sites, that's a lot. So they're gonna come out here, and when they deliver them, they're gonna come help us get them installed so we can start turning them on. So they'll come up quick, once we can get them in and hanging from the ceilings. The wiring's in place, the switching's in place, everything it needs to configure, all we can do is done, except having the physical device stuck on the ceiling and connected like that one up there. You know, once it's in place, then we can turn it on, the radios start seeing each other, and the devices come up.
so right now, they're having to connect.
Well, the labs are hardwired, the computer labs are hardwired. So when they go to
Like the
computer
old kind
lab,
of plug-in?
yeah,
Okay,
those are
gotcha.
plugged in, and each classroom, the teachers are hardwired, so they can plug in their laptop
Right.
and connect to the board. But Chromebooks are the only deviation from that, because they're web-based.
Right, exactly.
They have
Okay.
nothing on them, it's all web-based. So-
Appreciate it.
But we're getting close, so that window's been coming down.
Mr. Hamner?
Yeah, is all that being funded through hurricane recovery? Is it E-rate funding, or is it general fund, technology? Where's it coming from?
It's being funded through FEMA. It's hurricane recovery because
Good.
it's replacing things that we lost, because we had all those access points in the
Yeah.
other schools, so it's replacing things that we lost, so it is FEMA funded.
Good, all right.
Any other board members? Mr. Ford?
My question isn't about Wi-Fi or connectivity. My question is, and I may be premature, but I'm looking on the list and I don't see anything. And I know we've done notice of proceeds, and that's what we're talking about. But there are some schools in the district that have minor repairs that are turning into major repairs because they're at the bottom of the list. And I know they did a lot of work triaging all these different schools and what needs to be repaired, but just for example, Southdown has a little section on the side of the building in the roof it's got the tin that's missing. Well, you would think it's not a big deal, but because of all the rain we've been having, especially the sideways rain, it's been getting in there, and it's got some mold that's growing, and it's causing some moisture issues. So I'm wondering if we're gonna be able to kind of touch on some of those things in the next couple of weeks to prevent it from getting any worse. I know that's one example. There's a few others around the district, but that's kind of where my question is. I don't know if that's for you or for them, but.
I mean, they can probably speak to it better about a timeline, but now that we have received all of the damage estimates, the architects have turned from doing damage estimate work to putting things back together and doing the repair bid work. But we had to do those damage estimates first in order to have those to turn into FEMA.
Well, unfortunately, some of the damage has increased over the last month or so just because the time that it's taken to get that done, so, thank you.
Any other board members? Thank you, Ms. Bro. Number 12, Volkert. I didn't know who to introduce this time, so the other guy or him?
Well, we're actually, both gonna do this, so mine's gonna be fairly, quick. So I just wanna give I think, Ms. Bro did an excellent job of kind of saying where we're at globally. Just wanted to drill down on our particular projects, to give you, what we had here. Now, this update was from last week, and as these updates go, they're extremely dynamic, so that as these things come online, a lot of this information has changed, which is really kind of a good thing. So mainly what I wanted to capture out of the damage assessments here is to show that some are being complete, like say Acadian, Upper Little Caillou. And again, when we say complete, that means that All South has put it onto a grants portal, and that FEMA is actively, running through it and, doing their portion to issue a project worksheet number, and from that project worksheet number, PW number, then, you're able to start billing and get reimbursement, like physical money, back from there. So this was just kind of, again, a more drilled down view, of kind of sort of whose hands, that everything is in. A lot of these have kind of switched back, into All South. The other thing that I wanted to mention from here, especially was that, obviously when this design package started, so the two portions of it is that, the things that have been returned to the architect, we've had multiple iterations of this, of, one or two times kind of going back and forth, and that's really just trying to, a lot of it was just breaking things out. Again, each individual portion has to be detailed, so you can't just say, like, let's say a door unit, you'd say the door, the hinges, the locks, the lock set, and the handle. And so things like that need to be broken out. There was some confusion on both the initial assessment and then the assessment, kind of like what Mr. Ford was talking about, is when the actual architect was on site and saw it. So there's one that was done, in September, right after the storm, and then there was one done more recently. So it's comparing those two. But back to my point was that return to architect really means that there's maybe one or two comments that are just kind of lingering out there of, are we sure of this square footage? Are we sure of this, steel structure, this, the sheet metal type, was it 12 gauge or 14 gauge? Because it seemed like it was a little confusing on that. And so those details are very few and far between. Very much so, this whole list will move into this complete category, and the updates moving forward will be less about damage assessments and more about design packages. And so we're breaking out those design packages for, roofing packages are gonna be the first and foremost, and then if it makes sense to do a roof and interior work at the same time, we're gonna do that as well. And really what we're analyzing right now is construction sequencing of when we get into these schools, doing it during the summer. Can we, fit it all into winter break? Can we, shift some things around in order to get work done at the same time? Kids are there. So that's the stage that we're in now for this. So that's just the drill down a little bit. I mean, when we were talking about South Down, we actually just got some comments back from All South on that. So speaking of which, but I know, Paul has we have an RFP ready to go, and just like Mrs. Bro was talking about, we have some legal language that we need to define, which should be done this week, and so that those RFPs will trigger off immediately, and we'll see a lot of design packages coming out here over the next 2 weeks. So that's just to drill down a little further. I'm gonna have Marco come up and talk about our outreach to, I know this is very important to y'all, of getting the local community, getting the disadvantaged business enterprise community out and participating for our construction efforts. And so I'll have Marco come up and go through that. Does anybody have any questions about specifics? Again, as we're getting from into complete, I just want to make sure that you understand that complete means that the PW number is now, that FEMA's accepted it to try to get a PW number that you can start building towards, and then the next updates will be.
Okay. Would you have a question, Dr. Trahan?
Yes. I'm excited about the progress we're making across the parish, but my problems still remain the same. What about Upper Lucaya?
Yeah.
First time I hear that name in a recommendation tonight is for abatement, which is the removal of what is asbestos, is that what that is?
Yeah.
Where are we?
Yeah, so again, for the damage assessment portion of it, that has been handed in, and so abatement funds can go through a different route. So hazard mitigation funds well, y'all all work in government, so as you know, I mean, there's different pots of money and different color money, and that's that's one pot that can be done, because it's really just, once you test it, you know that, it needs to happen, so that's that portion of it. As far as the, rebuilding / repair effort, that comes from a different set, and that's under review right now. That the
It's
damage
been
assessment is in.
2 weeks from now, it has been under review for a year. My constituents don't want to hear that anymore, and they want answers. They know it's going to take years to replace and return to that school, that home base. But they need to see that something is being done, that there's a decision been made, or, because all of this, all they know is when they pass in front of that school every day to go to work, it still looks the same and nothing's been done. That's what they see. And then, and rightfully say, they're calling me for advice, and I have no answers for them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to say other than, I mean, it is the process, just like Mrs. Bro was talking about. I mean, we're actively meeting with, the people at FEMA and really trying to get every answer that they could. I mean, every time they have a question, there's an answer. It's just a matter of getting that process stabilized is just, I mean, there is no delays on anybody's end other than really at FEMA's end at this point.
Myself and my constituents are not pleased with what's going on with Uplokai. We're not.
I understand.
So we're still waiting for FEMA to determine, I'm sorry, you heard a voice from the sky, huh? From FEMA to determine repair or rebuild.
Correct.
And that's what we're waiting on.
Correct.
And no idea how much longer.
It's,
Just,
again, it's information that they'll seek additional information. We give them the answers of that information, and then again, it's a back and
taking
forth
forever,
until
yeah.
that determined, because really we can't decide on a design at that point, because well, we
Because
have
you
to,
don't
we
know-
don't-
right,
we
yeah, you
make
have to
that
know what you gotta
decision.
do, yeah.
But as far as the architect goes and, really sort of everything on our end, that's all in. It's just a matter of getting that formal determination.
Okay, thank you. Mr. DeHart.
Well, I'm not here to complain to you about it, but every resident in Terrebonne Parish knows how FEMA's slow. It really is slow. So regardless of how much we're doing, I know they're getting aggravated, but some of the same people that's aggravated with the schools is aggravated with their houses because they don't have enough to recover everything too. So FEMA, and I'm just saying, I hope people get that message out. We have to follow certain rules and paths to get where we need to be back like we were before hurricane. So, thank you for what y'all doing.
Mr. Ford.
Does it make any point to abate if we're not gonna rebuild? I mean, why abate it if it's just gonna be demoed and moved on anyway? So that's kind of my question.
Yeah, so the cleaning, I mean, that process would need to happen regardless. I mean, if it's ACM, if it's asbestos-containing materials, then that needs to go a different route than, I mean, even if it was a complete rebuild, that would still have to be separated. So that's just an EPA guidance type thing. So whether we do it now or later, we might as well try to be proactive. And to Mr. DeHart's comment is, we're not sitting around kind of waiting for anything. Let's go ahead and do what we can while we can. But to answer your question is, yes, it would have to happen regardless, but it would have to be, a separate container and handled in a different way.
So I know it's the EPA requirement, but, so the abatement is always gonna be reimbursable?
Yeah, because that's a hazard mitigation fund.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Any other board members? Okay, Mr. Marco?
And then, I don't know which one.
Okay, Dr. Trahan, one thing to answer give you a little more information on that Upper Little Caillou too. I think Ms. Broke was kind of mentioning this in some of her talk was, they actually had a sit-down meeting with FEMA and GOSEP talking about that particular school. Now, they haven't given a timeline, they're going through the process, but it is further along than it has been at any point
Thank you.
through this, so. I hope I didn't say anything out of order there, Becky, but.
this. Mr. Hammer, I just wanted to mention something, and maybe for everybody, you know, we're talking about the security efforts. One really positive thing that's gonna come out of this whole rebuilding effort is that everything is gonna go from paper, blueprints, you know, or plans, into a digital format at this point. So you'll be left at the end of this program with actual, you know, AutoCAD drawings. And so from there, that's your property. I mean, you've bought that from the architect, you know, for every single school here. So if you want to get an architect, I mean, it'd be great to have an architect that's familiar with those security protocols. But just like, you know, y'all were talking about, there are security specialists. They'll have drawings, you know, prepared that they can take from AutoCAD and really just start doing their own design. It's not like they're gonna have to get in there and start measuring and stuff. And I thought about it when y'all were talking about it. I just want to let you know that you're gonna have.
That's interesting, I appreciate you telling us, that's good, great.
Okay, so, I know y'all have heard me mention that we were looking at doing an outreach to the local construction community, the vendors, subcontractors and stuff. So we held the first of such meetings earlier today at 1 o'clock. It was here in this room. I'm gonna kind of go through it real quickly, because I know y'all got a lot going on today. But in your packets, I think it was handed out today, the actual slide presentation that was presented to them. So it was something that we helped put on, and then HCI also helped out as well, and they did a presentation on their projects. I would love to tell you that we just had a standing room only room, but it wasn't. We had two gentlemen that showed up today. One was a mechanical contractor, one was an electrical contractor. One of them did mention that he called several other contractor buddies, but everybody was just really busy. They got a lot of work going on, which is a good thing. You want people busy in your community. So this is not going to be the first and only meeting we'll do. It's just the first. So we'll have some more, probably another one, maybe in another month or so, and then another one probably early part of 2023, because we've got a lot of projects that are be coming out for bid in that year. So what I want to do, I don't want to go through the whole presentation. I just want to show you the general gist of what's going out to those people. It is not we made it very clear, this is not a community informational meeting. This was specifically put in there for the construction industry, and thus the title of it was the Construction Industry Informational Summit. So, past that. Come on, don't be shy. All right, so like I said, this was some.
Just burned up.
I don't know what it is about y'all's computer and me, but they never get along.
We're moving along, then we're moving pretty quick.
Just automatically going through the whole.
I swear. Sometimes I just need to die and come back as a millennial. I'm going to show it to you on this thing, so it makes it a whole lot easier, and I don't have all those little funky effects. So, you know, like, all this is basically telling them, we told them this is more to tell you about potential opportunities for you to be able to bid on work, okay? So, particularly today, we had two subcontractors. We told them, I said, we're going to let you know when pre-bid meetings are, so you can come to them, you can hand out your contact information to the general contractors, because in the construction world, if the general contractor doesn't have your number's not getting on one of his potential, you know, you may have the lowest bid, but there's contractor, if they don't have it, you know, you're not even gonna have a shot at the job, so. So that was important to tell them that. It's a message we're gonna keep iterating to them as we go into future meetings. The second part on there is just really about the range of work as far as budget, and then what kind of trades are needed. There's obviously a whole bunch of them. Local businesses and disadvantaged business enterprises are encouraged to participate. That'll be a standard message as we go along. We tell them we cannot have we can't just give the work to the local business, but, you know, they have to, because it's a public bid, but we'll do everything we can to make sure that they get in contact with the people that need to have their numbers, so. This is a list of our schools, so we showed them that. We have the same, HCI had the same thing, but here is basically what most of the projects lists were like. Okay, so it's a school, this one in particular is Acadian Elementary, a couple photos. Then the information on the side was school address, architect who's going to be working on it. And then a brief damage summary. Obviously, that's not a list of every single thing that went wrong, but it kind of gives them an idea. And then an estimated budget range. So for this one in particular, it was probably $3 to $5 million. And then estimated, it says construction notice to proceed. It's really estimated construction start, just, you know, to make it a little simpler. And that'd be fall of 2022. So we have this, and I mean, we could go through a couple more and show you, here's why you came. But it's kind of that's the general information we gave everybody to do that.
Mr. Ford, question?
Can you, for those that didn't make it to the meeting today, can we make this available, this PowerPoint, just set up as an actual slideshow to where they go on our school website, or our school board website, and take a look at it? Move around some more?
I would prefer if we can get a couple updates. So after we had the meeting today, we sat down with Ms. Bro and Mr. Orgeron and went over a couple things. There's a couple things that, you know, look, some tweaks and stuff in there, but then we'll get it over to Ms. Bro when that's done. Yes, sir.
Are you gonna do the dialogue?
You want me to narrate it? Like you want me to talk on it?
Yeah, narrate, voiceover?
I get paid extra for that. I gotta get my union card out now if I wanna do that.
Ms. Benoit has a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think it's a great idea that you're engaging local businesses in the opportunity to participate in this work. But I'm also thinking that this kind of thing, but more generalized than to the contractors, would be good outreach to our community members, like those that Miss or Dr. Trahan said about her constituents. And I think that it would be best to have some of those meetings down there at either South Terrebonne or Ellender, somewhere where the damage is severe. These are the parents and students that are most concerned about this. And I see at the bottom of your PowerPoint, you have, if you have any questions, you know, they're gonna have questions. But I think if you could set it up in one of those, cafeteria in one of those portable buildings at, let's say, South Terrebonne, and do a PowerPoint and have HDI there too. And talk a little bit about what y'all are doing in those schools down there, and let them ask those questions that they want to ask of you. I think that would do a lot of good for the community.
Okay. Well, one of the things that Mr. Orgeron did bring up, when that's some of the little tweaks we're doing, is because some of that information. So the purpose of today's meeting was strictly for the construction community. It was never to be a community outreach and stuff. But the information on there, we worked through. He actually got on my computer and did a couple modifications, you know, to kind of look at some information that he would like to have that can go out.
Yeah, I'm just thinking it could be adapted.
Yeah, so you two are thinking about, you two are thinking on the same line.
Yeah.
So yes, that's going to be coming, because it's something that, you know, he could take that and have it when he's having to answer questions and stuff.
It would help us as the board as well. We have this document.
Oh, yeah.
That we refer to. That's a really good basic info that we can do.
No, I agree, but it's difficult for, the 1 o'clock meeting might be good for your contractors, but an evening meeting will be better for parents, and having it go to them is a big deal. You know, it's hard for them to come to the central office, but easier for them to get to those schools.
Okay. But when we do that, I'm taking the questions slide off.
Wait, we have another question, Mr. Legore.
How did vendors know about it? How did y'all advertise?
Thank you. That was a good transition. I was about to tell you. That's good. That's a great question. So we went through the Homa Chamber, Women's Business Bureau, the SBA. We put posting on LinkedIn and also on Facebook as well. So, and if we have some other ways that we could do that we learn about, we'll use them for any future meetings as well.
I shared it on Facebook, I saw it.
And how long did y'all share? How long before? What was the time period?
This one, week or two, something like that.
2 weeks.
It went a whole lot of time. I agree. We're trying to get one in at a certain time. The next one, that's what I'm saying. We'll have a few more, and we'll try to publicize it a little bit more as well as we go forward.
Publicize it, and maybe have it on a weekend, like a Saturday morning or something. you know, put it out there maybe a month.
If it's
or
for the
a month.
contractors, it's,
For contractors.
yeah, if it's for contractors, it's probably
Yes.
better during the weekdays. Evening times, obviously, probably work pretty well if you're doing something for
Yeah,
community.
give them time so our local people can at least hear about it.
Yes, sir.
Because a lot of, well, I didn't hear, I didn't know.
Yes, sir.
And, you know, 2 weeks a week, not, no, it's, you know, we just want to cover our bases.
Yeah, and when you have future ones, when we've done these before, a lot of times, it puts a little extra work on some of the board members as well, because y'all know the contractors in the community, you know the vendors and stuff. I mean, they're your voters. And so most of the time, the board members are pushing us to say, hey, we want to have this, 'cause I got 5 guys over here, I want to come over here and I want to see this thing.
Exactly.
So yeah, so I mean, you know, we'll, like I said, this is the first one, we're going through it, we're gonna have more, we'll have more information and try to get some of your input on it as well, so.
Mr. Harding?
Yeah, I think he answered my concern, and I kind of piggyback on Mr. Lagarde. I just think that, you know, the first one, you only got 2, so hopefully in the future, you know, that we have a lot more vendors out there that want to participate, and I'm sure there'll be other ways that we can, you know, possibly do that. So I hope that it's not just 2 that want to work. Hopefully we can get more people incorporated, so.
They'll have a lot of work if there's only 2 of them, so. Any other questions? Okay, I wasn't gonna go anymore. Feel free to go through the slide. If you got questions, you pretty much know how to get a hold of me or Ryan or somebody. Happy to go through them, but thank y'all very much. I'm just glad we got the first one done.
And most of the package divided into both project managers.
Yes.
groups, like,
Yeah, if you go down this thing, there's a certain point on here after you finish all of our schools. I think it's like slide number 29. Those are the list of schools there that are HGIs, and then all the projects after that are all of their stuff, so. Scott's are the ones that have a whole lot of flowery writing on it. Ours are the ones more bullet pointed, so you can tell I did not write ours. So this is what it is.
All right. Thank you, Mr.
That's all we had. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the information, appreciate it. Number 13, so the Hammerman and Gaynor.
Good evening to the committee. A lot of good information flowed tonight, and I just want to continue with what we've already discussed, because we are working collectively with a lot of the things that Volker just shared with you guys to get this information out to the public. Here in our colorful chart and arrow that we have, you guys have seen this now for the 3rd time. I want to go into a little bit more detail just to support some of the things that were already said. So as you can see, we're following along with the abatement that Ms. Bro talked about that was completed this summer. Unfortunately, some of the things that are depicted here in abatement/construction is in our lighter blue color towards the end of our arrow. That doesn't mean that it's just in that stage, but a lot of these are also in duplicate stages where they're in design as well as, you know, they've had some abatement done. So we're just dictating it that way to show that we had some physical work done at the facility, because that lines up with the dollars that you guys approved to be spent for that work. That was the hazard mitigation. With moving forward, I did want to go into some of the detail of the scheduling that we've talked about. There is an example schedule that is in the agenda for you guys, and that is a typical schedule that flows for all of the schools that has some complexity in it. But we're going to provide for you all a very drilled down schedule that would give you just the bullet points of start dates, anticipated completion dates, and like was said earlier, from week to week, these are living documents that have a lot of movement in it, so there's been some changes from this last update that's in your agenda already, but I'll show that at this time as well on the screen. blow this up just a little bit more so that everyone can see it. So as we've talked about a lot, we started in January, when the contract began with doing our assessments at the schools, and we're well beyond that stage now. And these are the various steps for the assessment stage, where we got to the submittal process and the reviews with comments back and forth between TPSD as well as HGI, Volkert, and our architects who were working in harmony with us. Beyond the stages of the damage assessment, then we got to a place where we were able to put together some preliminary costs using the RS Mean software and to evaluate those costs, as we've talked about, with market analysis to get some real numbers of what we think the cost would be for repairs in comparison to other school districts and contractors who gave us their input. With that information, we obviously have had our communication with also the permitting office, and we've incorporated our design with building code as well as with upgraded wind loads. And so the design phase began with capturing that type of scope so that we could build back these schools better than they were prior to the storm. And of course, we know some material, as we've spoken to you guys about, as well as some building codes, are not achievable anymore. Throughout the design phase, that brings us into, and I'm just going to show some dates here as I scroll for a minute, that brought us to anticipated evaluations of how long we would take with the collaboration of our architects. We've been placing ourselves now around September for having development of preliminary designs and specifications. Those are running simultaneously, and we're doing all that we can do once we've submitted to FEMA, which we're factoring in a 6 to 7 month window, because we've been told and we know that FEMA can take up to 6 months to review things and get back to us for negotiations. With that being included there in our schedule, that puts us at some of these schools having the initial bidding process here on line items 25, 26, and 27 to be the beginning of 2023. And so from there, we are anticipating a bid date to be the first quarter of the year, with construction possibly commencing around May of 2023 on some of these schools, if we're able to hold true to this schedule. We are looking at ways to reduce some of the delays here, but a lot of that, as we've stated, is in the hands of waiting to get back information from FEMA to see where we can cut down some of that time. So this is some of the complexity that we have when we talk about the scheduling, the process, and the procedures of everything that is captured and that is considered. And then with that being said, I will stop at this point and open up for any questions that you guys may have.
Okay, so, sir, first of all, I mean, is there any possibility, and this may be totally out there, the gym at South Terrebonne, the new gym, because, I mean, they're traveling. Okay, I don't know if we're on the same wavelength, that we can get that worked on. I know academics is number one. That's the most important thing. We want to get our schools up and running. But because of both South Terrebonne and Ellender needing a place to play volleyball, basketball, all these sports here, is there any way that we can get that done soon? Oh, you did already?
We talked to the architects as well about making that a priority.
Okay,
As long
okay.
as they're in a good position with temporaries, and that building's gonna take the amount of time it's gonna take anyway.
Correct.
Make that a priority.
So that is in the movement. Okay, yeah, yeah, please, please.
Yeah, so we've already been working with Merlin to separate out the new gym as its own project, so that it will run on an independent timeline from the rest of the facility.
Fantastic. Okay,
Expedite.
good. All right, good job. And I would like to thank Mr. Bruce Daniel Bruce for everything he's done with those temporary campuses, because they're phenomenal. If you haven't had a chance to look at them, we went there, a couple of board members, and walked around, and it's really nice.
Campuses are fabulous.
Yeah.
Oh, fabulous.
Yep, yep. Okay, Mr. DeHart first. Okay, and then I'm gonna come to you. Yes. Yeah.
Just,
Your pass? Okay.
just to add to what comment was just made, that is what you guys will be hearing and seeing when we talk about having multiple design packages go out for bid. And so they're broken out based off of the different phases of what we need to do first based off priorities. Fencing and athletic was considered in a lot of those different schools, as well as, like you said, with education.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Harding.
Yeah, okay. In conjunction with the volleyball, basketball games, I think that is very essential. I'm just trying to imagine in my mind how they conducting PE.
Yeah, yeah, that was something
I'm
else
just
on
trying
my
to
list.
visualize that, so that's also something I think that, if you can get that together, I think it'll bring us a little more normalcy back, one small step at a time, because I think that is a valid point, so for having that as a place, a meeting place for PE and other type of events also too.
Very good. Yep. Thanks. Mr. DeHart? Okay. Absolutely, yeah. Mhm. Right, right. Yeah, we do have locations, and they are utilizing those, but it would just make it more at home if we were right there, like everything else is coming together. But go ahead, Mr. Ogeron. Right, right, right. Thank you, thank you. No.
Yeah, and I think it goes beyond the sports stuff too, with these dances and functions and all those things.
Right,
that
right.
do with the big space.
Right, exactly. And both schools can use it if we can, both Ellender as well as South Terrebonne. So, Mr. Ford.
So are we talking about the same gym that we, prior to the storm, had already had intentions of redoing the roof? Remember, that was
No,
something
that
we
was
had
the old
asked.
gym.
That was the old gym?
That was the
Okay,
old
so
gym,
we're talking
yeah.
about different, okay.
Even though the new gym is not new.
Yeah,
It's very old.
that's why I wanted to make
but it's
sure
the
I
newer
was a
gym,
little
right.
confused.
Right, right. The newer gym, should we say. Okay, Ms. Benoit?
Thank you. I appreciate that you shared with us your printout for your PowerPoint, but my eye doctor says my contacts were able to see 2020, but I can't read this at all. And it would be very helpful to have this when people call us and say, well, when is this going to be complete, or what's next? So is there any way that you can make this bigger?
Yes, ma'am. So what we were doing for tonight, this was just for the purposes of showing you guys our process. In the presentation that you saw, that's going to be the PowerPoint, as well as in one other document we're going to prepare. We're going to consolidate this down because this is very complex and a lot of people won't understand it without some explanation, and give you guys the bullet points that will be just the significance of when certain things are going to start, the anticipations of when they will be finished, and we'll have that prepared for you before the next BFT committee meeting.
Okay. I love the timeline idea, and it's great, but it would have to be on a legal sheet.
Right. We'll give it to you for each one of our schools, as well as the four school board buildings as well. And then I've heard a lot of good things from the previous presentations that I think we need to also take some notes on and incorporate from just a security standpoint, because I do have someone in mind. I don't know if you guys know or not, Chief Jeff LaDuff of Baton Rouge. He has a business that specializes specifically in what you do. So I'm going to see if I can get some contact information and just leave that with you all, as well as talking to some of our architects on the work that we're currently doing with our design, because if there is something that we need to incorporate, that's something we should look at and then bring back to you guys for a decision, if that's something you guys think.
Okay, very good. Any other questions?
Just one more statement. Reiterate again, Mr. DeHart mentioned about the recreation gyms, but you got to realize, we all trying to use those gyms.
Yes.
Everybody. You got the junior highs, the high schools, TPR, So it's a high priority to make sure that we try to get those gyms on board. Yes, we do have those gyms, but some of those gyms are not regulated to facilitate high school games. They don't have breakaway goals. You know, so you
Right.
can't just go there and just dunk it and pull a goal down. Some of it's not the regulated size. So all those things got to be considered also too when you start thinking about those gyms.
Yeah. And to
So
add on,
that's physical education as well as for your fall sports for basketball. Okay.
yeah, to add on to that, you know, again, location is important. The Lil Caillou Gym, you know, for South Terrebonne, was destroyed. It was a very good location to have a gym. Now they're trying to use a little bit of Smith Ridge Gym, and then Montague Gym, I'm not sure what's going on in Montague. Still not open. So, you know, Berg Gym as well, so trying to keep it as local as possible, but due to the storm, obviously. But any other board members? All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Number 14, Mr. Poisson.
Well, how was y'all hell week? Mine was a little rough this week, but we got it open. Everybody open. We made the first week. On our projects we got going, we had weekly meetings with the project managers on the repairs. Watching the project at Terrebonne, I'd like to thank Mr. Lee Red, Mr. Thompson for a great job they did there. They had it open, had air conditioning for the opening of the schools. That was a huge job that had to be done in just a few months. It's not complete, but it is air conditioned. It's working great. The old way, the upstairs was hot and downstairs was cold, and now everybody has control of the air conditioning in their room, in each individual room. So it's working real good. Watching the asbestos abatement projects. We had a major water line break at HL. We got that taken care of. At Oakshire, we're looking to put in a new split system, something similar to what we had done at Berg. This is on a bigger scale. We had talked to Mr. Ogeron and Ms. Bro, and we're going to be going through, y'all approved some advertisements for RFQs to get some other schools going with changing out air conditioners and everything, so we'll be working on that. It's going to be a big project. We have to do it at this point.
Yeah.
We've talked about it and talked about it, now it's going to start happening. Next, we have all the work orders that were called in. I'm not going to read over all those, but our department's working on securing the schools. As per Mr. Ogeron, we're trying to get all the doors, everything that close properly, lock properly. It's all in the big safety thing that's going to be going on in the future. Compressor at Gibson we had to change, and several locations we had to bring rocks for parent pickups and trying to get things back in order.
Good. Any questions for Mr. Poisson? Yes, Ms. Benoit.
Mr. Poisson, last year, or year and a half, I have been asking about, there's a problem at Bourgeois, and I know this is minor compared to all the other stuff that we're doing, but I know that this is a concern of parents. I've gotten calls about it. I don't know if Mr. Ford has, but when you're driving in to Bourgeois, there's a drop-off right there, and there needs to be some sort of shelves or something in there to stop that, because people are going into that big drop-off and they're ruining.
Yeah,
you
and
know,
a lot of the buses
drives.
turn in right there and they start, I mean, it eats it out.
It does.
And we may have to look at cementing it.
Maybe
just
so,
come
but
back
with
and
all
put the
this
cement.
rain, it's worse right
Yeah.
now. And it's not just at that turn-in, it's like all the corners when you come into the driveway.
Yeah, they
And
cut
if
the
anybody
corner.
turns sharp in any one of those, it's a problem. So shells are a quick fix, but yeah, cement would be better. But it really needs to be taken care of. I know that that's a problem.
Good. Mr. Harding?
Just one comment, again, thank you, for taking care of the situation behind, Terrebonne football field for the band, with the mud and all that stuff. I mean, the band is happy, I'm happy.
I'm happy to.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. DeHart?
Terrebonne High School, I know, for years we've been having trouble on third floor with air conditioning, but now that the air conditioning's done, that's all working properly, right now?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
That's what I heard you
Y'all
say,
need
but I
to,
just want to make sure.
and y'all really need to go and tour it, because
Yes,
it
sir.
was a big project.
Right.
It's something that needed to be done a long time.
A long time, yeah. Because no matter, the heat rises and that floor's been rough.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Mr. LaGuard?
Yeah, I've been getting calls about about where the kids walk. Under the walkway, say it broke or whatever, the rain in, the rain on the kids in the walkway. Did y'all look at that?
Yeah, we've looked into some of those right now. I mean, it's the same thing at a lot of schools. The canopies are gone. That's all in process by the project managers and the architects to get done. I went and looked at what we spoke about. There's a covered walkway between the library and cafeteria. If they utilize that, it's covered. But on the other side of the library, that's where it's missing. So I don't know what reason. They were kind of saying it was just too tight for everybody to pass through. But if it's raining, I mean, they would be out of the weather.
Dr. Trahan?
Just a little humor. When I read your report and I read this line, rocks have been brought to several locations for parent pickup. And I'm thinking, why are parents picking up rocks? And I had to do a second reading before I picked up on it was at the parent pickup.
We're doing pet rocks now.
We needed that laugh.
Good job, Sam.
Rocks have been brought to several locations for parent pickup. That's what it says.
Well, they
Good
need to be
job.
brought to bourgeois.
That's how hard y'all working that man.
Mr. Ford?
You mentioned canopies and covered walkways. What's the status at Terrebonne High between the
That got between the building and the
Yeah,
band.
the band hall, did it get finished?
That got moved to the front of the list. It's being processed now, so.
As well as the cover, Mr. Hammond, for the bids, get those two done at the same time.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Poisson?
Yeah.
I mean, we keep getting calls about it. Each little thing's gonna try to get pushed to the front, pushed to the front, pushed to the front. But I mean, somewhere, we have to go by what we have.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Poisson. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Moved by Mr. DeHart, second by Mr. Harding. Any public comments? DeHart, Harding, anybody else? Motion passed. Done.
They're lucky that they were first tonight.
Maybe they walk inside, maybe they walk through there. I guess if it rains, you can inside. I know where it's at now, when I look at it, I guess, it's like, see that part there.
2016 Lands Committee to order. Let the record show that Mike Lagarde, Vice Chairman, and Ms. Stacy Soleil, Committee Chairman, Committee Member, and myself, Chairman, are present, along with Dane Voisin, Dr. Maybelle Trahan, Greg Harding, Superintendent Angeron, staff, Mr. D. Hart, Ms. Benoit, and myself. Mr. Ford?
He's here.
And Mr. Ford. Matter bearing upon consideration of budget adoption resolution, the committee recommends that the board adopt the budget adoption resolution that's attached, which provides for the adoption of the general operating fund, the 1 cent sales tax fund, the half-cent sales tax fund, the 3/4 cent sales tax fund, child nutrition program fund, and various special revenue funds for the 22-23 fiscal year as presented, with the following exceptions. Reclassification of 5 curriculum specialists from 200 days to 240 days was removed, and stipend of $20 per meeting for members of the Insurance Advisory Committee was added. Moved by Ms. Soleil, seconded by Mr. Lagarde. Any members of the public wish to address this? Ms. Soleil? Mr. Lagarde? Any members of the board? Any objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes. Item 3, matter bearing upon assignment of campsite leases. The committee recommends that the board approve the assignment of a campsite lease in Section 16, Township 20 South, Range 17 East, from Gary Gordon, current lessee, to Leopold LeBlanc IV for the remaining term of the current lease, ending May 16, 2031, and further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto. Moved by Ms. Soleil.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Lagarde. Any members of the public wish to address this? Ms. Soleil? Mr. Lagarde?
No, sir.
Any members of the board? Any objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes. Item 4, matter bearing upon approval of bids and hunting and trapping leases. The committee recommends that the board accept the highest bid received, meeting all specifications, for hunting and trapping lease on Section 16 lands for a 5-year period beginning September 1st, 2022 through August 31st, 2027. Allow for the purchasing department to re-advertise those sections where no bid was received and/or those sections in which leases were surrendered, and further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto. Moved by Ms. Soleil.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Lagarde. Any members of the public wish to address this? Ms. Soleil? Mr. Lagarde?
No, sir.
Any members of the board? Any objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes. Item 5, matter bearing upon approval of bids on communicator folders. The committee recommends that the board accept the lowest bid received, meeting all specifications for communicator folders, from Rochester 100, Inc., 40 Jefferson Road, Rochester, New York, for a 10-month period beginning September 6, 2022, and ending June 30, 2022. Moved by Ms. Soleil.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Lagarde. Any members of the public wish to address this? Ms. Soleil. Mr. Lagarde.
No, sir.
Any members of the board? Any objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes. Item 6, matter bearing upon monthly budget to actual and monthly sales tax collection. Ms. Klingman.
Good evening, everyone. In your packet, you have your year-to-date budget comparison for the 5 major funds, showing the actual amounts through the month of, the end of July, through July 31st.
Did it go up or down?
In comparison to last year, I'll let you know. I'll look and let you know, but I'm sure it's probably going up with
It's
the
up.
inflation.
It's up. Okay. Any questions for Ms. Klingman? Having no questions, Mr. Chairman, I turn the meeting back over to you. Or do I get a motion to adjourn the meeting? Let's adjourn. Moved by Ms. Soleil, seconded by Mr. Lagarde, and Ms. Klingman, you had...
We also have the sales tax
Oh,
item.
I thought you did them both. Okay.
No, is that what you were referring to that went
Yeah.
up?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, that's up about 11.9% from the month of June 2022,
Yeah.
last year. Yeah.
Okay. Motion to adjourn. So moved. Pass.
I thought you were asking me if.
I was confused. Yeah, I jumped the gun. I jumped the
I knew I was forgetting something.
Oh, yeah, you have executive.
The executive committee is called to order. In attendance this evening is Mr. Lagarde, myself, President Harding, and other members of the board. Examination of invoices for the current month, including supplemental payroll and travel expenses. Do I have any committee concerns?
No concerns with me.
Mr. Harding? No concerns myself at all. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any public comments? Any comments, Mr. Harding, Mr. Lagarde? Any other board members? Any objections? None heard, so ordered. I'll have a motion for adjournment. So moved from Mr. Harding, second by Mr. Lagarde. Any public comment? Any comments from you, sir?
No.
Or the board? So moved. We are adjourned.
Oh, no, we last. No, I thought we were last.
I don't have any.
I'd like to call to order the Education, Technology, and Policy Committee meeting of August the 16th, 2022. Let the minutes show that myself is here as chair, Mr. Ford as vice chair, and Dr. Maybell Trahan as member. Also included is board members Mr. Hamner, Mr. Gehart, President Harding, Mr. Lagarde, Ms. Soleil, and Mr. Voisin, as well as the superintendent and some of his staff.
Can I say something for you?
Sure.
So, as the board knows, and the public and the audience, we have 16 policies tonight, and they're all reflective of language in state legislation. So we're going to be going through these. That's why we have so many. It's new things that we have to get done before the school year starts, and they're all been referred to us from the group called Forethought. So Forethought gives us these recommendations based on state law. So that's what's reflected tonight as we go over these new policies, or really revised policies that we already had in place.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So it's really reflective of what the state has sent out to
Yes,
us? Yes. Okay, the first matter is, the committee recommends that the board approve as presented revised policy file B-16, school board ethics. Moved by Mr. Ford.
Second.
Second by Dr. Trahan. Any public comment? Mr. Ford?
I just don't know if this, I mean, I see some people in the audience, is there copies of this for them to see, or
The ethics?
So it's back
Yeah.
there? Okay, I just
Mhm.
wanted to make sure. So, yeah, I'm good with,
Okay.
if it's there for everyone else.
Thank you. Dr. Trahan, do you have any comments? Any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Next, the committee recommends that the board approve as presented revised policy file E-3.2, school bus scheduling and routing.
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Trahan, second by Mr. Ford. Do you have any comments, Mr. Talbot, on that?
No.
Okay. Okay.
If y'all need an explanation of anything, Mark can answer a lot
Okay.
of these policies.
All right, sounds good. Any public comment? Any board members? Okay. Any objections then? Hearing none, so moved.
if they feel safe.
Okay, number 4, the committee recommends that the board approve as presented revised policy file F-2, equal opportunity employment. Moved by Mr. Ford.
Second.
Second by Dr. Trahan. Any public comment? Mr. Ford?
I don't really have a comment, I just don't like the verbiage they used, and I mean, this has been the case a couple of times with forethought. Not that I'm more of a technical writing expert than they are, but sometimes they use things that I just feel are gonna lead us to be subjected to something in the future maybe. This natural protective and cultural hairstyle. I just don't understand why the state is implementing that. I feel like this is one of those things that could lead to some trouble in the future, but as a school district, we do what we have to do. So I just want everyone to understand that this is coming from the state. This isn't something that we came up with on our
Fair enough.
Is this a mandate, or can we
It's
not
changing.
change some of this ourselves if we decide to? Or is it more like the law, like you can go more restrictive, but you can't get less
Basically,
restrictive?
yes.
Basically?
Mhm.
Okay,
And this is, exact verbiage from the laws.
Gotcha.
Which is kind of
okay.
different, but yes.
And
Dr. Trahan?
I'm not sure, but this is most probably the language that was in the law.
Yes, ma'am.
That forethought
Yes, ma'am.
picked up.
And you're gonna see this throughout a lot of our
Uh-huh.
policies, this particular.
That's why I'm saying that,
line.
because when I read over all the policies, I saw the same
Yes.
language over and over. So it must be the language that was in the law passed by our Congress, in our state Congress.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Number 5, the committee recommends that the board approve as presented revised policy file H-1, equal opportunity. Did I just do that? No, it's another equal opportunity, education opportunity.
So
Okay.
moved.
Moved by Mr. Ford, second by Dr. Trahan. Any public comment? Mr. Ford, on this one? Dr. Trahan? Any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Number 6, the committee recommends that the board approve as presented revised policy file F-12.2, employee dress code.
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Trahan, second by Mr. Ford. Any public comment? Dr. Trahan?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Ford? Any board members? Any objections, committee members? Hearing none, so moved. Number 7, the committee recommends that the board approve as presented revised policy file H-3.3H, bullying and hazing. Moved by Dr. Trahan, second by Mr. Ford. Any public comment? Dr. Trahan?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Ford? Any board members? Any objections, committee members? Hearing none, so moved. Number 8, the committee recommends that the board approve as presented revised policy file H-3.4, mandatory school uniforms.
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Trahan, second by Mr. Ford. Any public comment? Dr. Trahan?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Ford? Any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. The committee recommends that the board approve as presented revised policy file H-3.5, discipline. Moved by Mr. Ford, second by Dr. Trahan. Any public comment? Mr. Ford? Dr. Trahan?
No, ma'am.
Any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. The committee recommends that the board approve as presented revised policy file H-3.5B, suspension and expulsion.
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Trahan, second by Mr. Ford. Any public comment? Dr. Trahan?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Ford? Any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. The committee recommends that the board approve as presented revised policy file H-2.1A, student absences and excuses.
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Trahan, second by Mr. Ford. Public comment? Dr. Trahan?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Ford? Any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Number 12, the committee recommends that the board approve as presented new policy file H-15, student voter registration.
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Trahan, second by Mr. Ford. Any public comment? Dr. Trahan?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Ford?
No, but I think this is a good idea because for whatever reasons they may have, getting our young folks involved, giving them opportunity and kind of educating them on the way that we can register to vote and helping them along, I think that's beneficial. I know you go to the DMV, you get a license, they ask you that, but I think our school system should be promoting this democratic process.
Agree. Any other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Number 13, the committee recommends that the board approve as presented revised policy file H-11.2, expectant and parenting students.
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Trahan, second by Mr. Ford. Any public comment? Dr. Trahan?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Ford? Any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Number 14, the committee recommends that the board approve as presented revised policy file H-3.6, student health services.
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Trahan, second by Mr. Ford. Public comment? Dr. Trahan?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Ford? Any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Number 15, the committee recommends that the board approve as presented revised policy file H-3.6C, administration of medication.
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Trahan, second by Mr. Ford. Public comment? Dr. Trahan?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Ford? Any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Number 16, the committee recommends that the board approve as presented revised policy file D-7.4A, bids and quotations.
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Ford. Dr. Ford. Moved by Dr. Trahan, second by Mr. Ford. Any public comment? Dr. Trahan?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Ford? Any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Number 17, the committee recommends that the board approve as presented revised policy file H-2.4A, public school choice.
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Trahan, second by Mr. Ford. Public comment. Dr. Trahan?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Ford?
I was hoping, I was hoping we could get from Mr. Tarver a little explanation on this, because there's a lot of speculation out there and confusion, so
Okay.
if you can clarify.
Mr. Torbett?
Okay, the change centers around the idea of defining capacity. So, the capacity of the classroom, capacity of pretty much anything that would be involved with the school choice piece, as it compares to the formula stated in 741.
Yeah. So the reason I was contacted about this by someone, and I didn't know how to answer them. They said, I didn't realize Terrebonne Parish had school choice. And, how does this fit in? Because I guess someone had a concern about their student going to one school and wanted to go to another school. So can you kind of give us the gist of how that works? Is this something that we actually have? Because I wasn't aware.
School choice plan or program policy is there because it is something that 741 allows, but at the current time, we do not have any schools in school choice.
Okay, that's what I wanted
Any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Number 18, the committee recommends that the board authorize the purchasing department to advertise for requests for proposals, RFPs, for wide area network services.
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Trahan, second by Mr. Ford. Public comment? Dr. Trahan?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Ford? Board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Number 19, the committee recommends that the board authorize the purchasing department to advertise for a request for proposals, RFPs, for network switches.
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Trahan, second by Mr. Ford. Public comment? Dr. Trahan?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Ford?
I did have a question whether or not this is something that would be reimbursed by FEMA. Is this a replacement of previously used equipment?
It's a replacement of very old equipment. Most of this came in for Katrina. So the WAN, the Wide Area Network, the first proposal, that's our 5-year contract with Unity Fiber. It was Hunt, became Unity Fiber. We're in the 5th year of that contract. This is all E-rate funded. So in order to go for E-rate, we have to start like 10 months ahead. So that's what we're doing. And then the same thing for the switches. We're looking at trying to get 85% funding, so 15 cents on a dollar, for the core switches, the switches that tie each site to the wide area network. That the wide area network ties all of our campuses together through the central office to the internet. And we're getting faster, more powerful switches in the schools, and then they all bottleneck on this core switch that ties it together. It's not overrunning it yet, but it's time.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't say just core switches in the proposal, because there's something new in E-rate where we can actually go for switches that we don't need yet, get the funding commitment on it, and then when it looks like a switch is going to fail or something, we can order it and get it put in and still get that 85% funding.
So the 85%, but that's a government program, that's not FEMA requirement.
No, it's nothing to do with FEMA.
That's
Yeah, in fact,
upgrades and-
yeah, in fact, for the high schools, they just got new switches, that's going to be under FEMA.
Okay.
But these are other sites.
Infrastructure and
Yeah,
network.
where it's the core switch and some of the other schools that have really obsolete switches. They're running in the background, they're doing okay, but while we can, try to get this funded to get newer, faster equipment for faster services that's going to come through eventually.
Okay.
So-
Thank you.
Any other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Item number 20, the committee recommends that the board approve as presented the revised pupil progression plan for the 2022-23 school year. Moved by Mr. Ford, second by Dr. Trahan. Any public comment? Say anything? Dr. Austin, would you like to make? Sure.
As it seats, I gave you a fact finder
Mhm.
with our PPP plan for this year. If you look in the front cover, I have a little handout that gives you all the information that we have adjusted for this school year with page numbers. And then for your convenience, as you flip through, the highlighted areas are what is referred to on that one pager. So you can easily flip through and see what's been adjusted. Of course, we know mandatory kindergarten is now in place, so that's been added. One of our changes would be the promotional criteria for grade 1, and you can see the adjustment there. Also, the third bullet talks about individual literacy plans for students in grades 3. And that's created for students that score below proficiency at the beginning of the school year in our benchmark. And then they receive a plan that carries with them through the whole entire school year until they benchmark at the end of the year or take their LEAP test. And then we add some changes in our high school transfer policy for students coming in from out of state or from out of country, that their transcripts be completely evaluated before they're placed in the right grade cohort. A lot of times, students may come in and their transcripts won't match what we have, so they don't have the exact Carnegie credits that we require for freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and such. And so then we have to move them throughout the school year. So our plan will be now that they will be placed in ninth grade pending their transcripts being revised, and then we'll move them where they need to go. And then we just have some clarification on the April Dunn Act for our special ed students. And then for due process, we kind of cleaned up that policy. Since we now have a director of child welfare and attendance, we just replaced assistant superintendent with the director.
Thank
Yes, sir.
you.
Yes, sir.
So when it comes to these transferring students, who has oversight on the placement? I know the guidance counselors evaluate the transcript.
That's correct.
But who ultimately has oversight? Who is responsible on that campus?
The principal is always responsible for the final of everything on the campus. A lot of times when those students transfer in, and if the transcript is kind of with questions, they'll contact the supervisor of secondary. Sometimes they'll contact me, and then we'll go through the process of helping them figure out with the transfer. So,
Thank you.
Any other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Thank you, Dr. Austin. Number 21, matter pertaining to possible use, right now, no, matter pertaining to 2022 spring LEAP scores for grades 3 through 8. This is just informational. Dr. Austin, do you have something else to add to that?
yes, ma'am, I do. Tonight, I want to share with you some of the information about our our 3 to 8 assessment index that comes through. This time of the year is when we get a lot of information that comes out, our test scores from the state, a comparison of other districts, information about our subgroups, and then after we get that information, we start cleaning it up, and then we work our way into the progress index, and then the other components of interest and opportunity, DCAI, and so forth. So if you look on the screen, what we're going to talk about tonight is the light blue area, the assessment index. And for elementary schools without 8th grade, that's 70% of their SPS. And for schools with 8th grade, that represents 65, because a little sliver of that is their DCAI part. So on this screen right here, I have some highlights of our district, how they compare to other people, as well as how we compare to ourselves from 2021 scores to 2022. And I'm going to share this PowerPoint slide with you later, and I've linked in here all the spreadsheets from the State Department. And for your convenience, I kind of sorted through them and highlighted Terrebonne Parish. Let's see if I can scroll this down. Okay, there we go. So I've highlighted Terrebonne Parish for you, so for your convenience, when you look at these spreadsheets, you can quickly see where we rank. And then I've also added in the state, so you can see where we rank according to the state. There are several tabs at the bottom. The first tab I'm showing you now is all of the content area, and then you have the same thing for English language arts, math, science, and social studies. So that will be available if you would like to dig in. It's also on the state website that has a lot more columns, but I just kind of focused on what we were talking about this evening. So some of the highlights we have for tonight are listed on your screen. We had a 99.7% participation rate. So what that means is if the State Department says we should have this amount of kids test, we had 99.7% of those kids actually test. So the children that didn't test either moved, and so they were not in our district, or just didn't show up for testing. Either their parents, either the parents chose not to send them, or they just were absent that day and we were never able to make them up. Overall, for ELA Math, Science, and Social Studies mastery rates, we had a 2.4 improvement from 2021 scores to 2022 scores. We also ranked above the state in all areas, every content and overall, and if you look at us according to the whole state, we were in the top 15 statewide. So we're very pleased with those results. When you look at our improvement in the subgroups area, these are students that are in our subgroups, and you can see them listed here that have scored mastery or above. Once again, comparing spring 21 to spring 22. And you can see we've had improvement in all area except for our Hispanic population, which was no change. And then finally, our last slide shows that these are our schools that showed growth based on our assessment index, once again, 21 to 22, and I have them listed here. That is about 18 schools, which is about 68%, 69% of our schools in grades 3 through 8 that have scored and showed growth. So we're very pleased with that as well. The next piece of information we're going to get will be our progress index. And so I'll be able to come back and share more with you on our schools that have shown how they can grow students from year to year. Okay? Any questions? Yes.
What about the data for 9 through 12?
We did not share that in May, Mr. Otrall? Well, I can definitely bring that back and share that with you as well. You're welcome. Any other questions?
Just a statement. If we can do that on a year that we were out a month with the hurricane, wow.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm looking forward to this year.
That's great.
Thank
Any other
you.
questions? Thank you, Dr. Austin.
Thank you.
Okay. Next piece is also informational from Ms. Sandra LaRose, and it's on instructional staff updates.
Good evening. Just our regular portion that we've been presenting to you at our meetings, we wanted to just kind of give you a general overview. I'm the only one speaking tonight because I'm speaking on behalf of the whole instructional staff. And we focused on this past week as the kids came into school on being present in our schools and getting out there, welcoming our teachers and the students back to school. I wanted to let you know we did all of our initial professional development that we had talked about at the last meeting to let you know what we were doing to prepare teachers to get into the classrooms this year. We have already scheduled the follow-up appointments for those so that teachers can practice and do what they need to do in the classrooms and then get their questions answered. And we've also scheduled all of our new user trainings that are coming up. For example, Go Guardian is a new program that we're going to be using so that we can effectively monitor what students are doing on their Chromebooks to maximize our instructional time. In addition to Go Guardian, we have, some of you are familiar with Achieve 3000, Nearpod, the school status program that we purchased for this year. All of those trainings are scheduled, and that's all taking place within, let's say, the next month. But most of it is probably within the next 3 weeks. So we have teachers coming in to do all of that. Then on the student side of it, I'm very proud to say that as we visited our schools, we saw lots of happy students, smiling students. And I'm extremely proud to say that as we visited our 2 temporary campuses, it was just an overwhelming positive atmosphere. And the students, several of them, when I say several, many of them from both campuses said, can we just stay in these buildings? We really like them. And just the newness of them, the cleanliness, the freshness. And 2 of the girls who were walking said they loved being able to go outside between all their classes and get fresh air in between classes. That's something that we didn't really stop to think about. But so lots of good things going on. We did our first intervention content leader meeting today here at the central office. So our ICLs are prepared to go in and coach that Jill Jackson coaching model. And we're looking forward to many more trainings and many more visits to the schools, because that's the part of our jobs that we all love to do, is supporting the kids and the teachers in the classrooms. So, any questions? Okay, thank y'all.
Thank you. Number 23, the committee recommends that the board authorize the superintendent and staff to explore options to use the old Fletcher campus located at 310 St. Charles Street, Houma, Louisiana, 70360, as a future magnet school program. Moved by Mr. Ford and second by Dr. Trahan. And I am delighted to hear about this. So would you like to share some of that information before we continue?
Sure. So I'm asking just for approval to begin the process. It's going to be a lengthy process to decide the program, decide how the program is going to fit into the space that we have without really redesigning the whole space. We could probably fit into what we have based on what we're going to offer. But we don't quite know that yet. We have ideas. We have a lot of ideas. Now, whether we call it a magnet school or a college and career academy, that's to be decided. But we're thinking it's to be like a half-day program. So some things we kind of know. We want it to be a half-day program where the kids go back to their base school so that it doesn't influence scores or affect scores and all that kind of thing. They're going to be able to take part in all the extracurricular at their base school. But currently we have courses that just have trouble making at their base school. And it could be anything from science classes to computer science, cybersecurity, all of these kind of options, arts and music courses, engineering courses. Centralized in one spot, and we can have access from all of our kids to all of our schools at one spot. With hopefully the best teachers at this school, or the teachers that really are really skilled at that particular subject. You know, we can have them teaching all of our kids. So that's kind of what we're looking at to start the process. When we visit schools, we start planning on courses and all of that stuff. So that doesn't take us a very long time. So we want to make that declaration this evening. Give full approval to the board meeting to get this case started.
That's great. Any public comment? Who moved it? I can't remember. Okay, Mr. Ford.
You know, I'm excited about this. Mr. Ogeron and I have had plenty of discussions way before we even knew he would be superintendent. 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, 3 years and 9 months ago, whenever I got on the board, this was one of the things I wanted. I have friends that have gifted students. I had a gifted student at the time. She's now in college, and we were looking for this opportunity because we see it in our neighboring districts, and we see how well it works. And I know that they have the best of the best teachers there for a couple of reasons. A lot of the classes they offer are dual enrollment classes, so you have to have that more highly qualified teacher teaching those dual enrollment classes. But also the synergy that comes in from all 3 of their high schools, all 4 of their high schools, they come in and, you know, congregate and get some real learning done. I mean, you don't have behavior problems. You have students that are motivated, students that join leadership programs and go off to college, you know, Division I schools that are, you know, they're just setting the bar. And I think this is a great opportunity for Terrebonne Parish. And I think it's going to bring some people into the district that may have left before or may have been looking at private school, and they may start considering coming back to public school. So I'm excited about it. Thank you.
Dr. Trahan?
I agree, it's a long time coming.
Any other board members? Yes, Mr. DeHart.
I'd like the superintendent to consider to take the Fletcher sign down. No disrespect to Fletcher, but it's Terrebonne Parish, whatever we're doing, or whatever he comes up with. But I think that would set the tone to say, you know, what are we doing as a board? What are we doing as staff? With all of the, having a new superintendent, new ideas, and you know, alterations of things, it's going to give some value to, let's just say that building's been sitting there just about not used, okay? And to say we're going to revitalize that. So
Right.
I would like that considered too.
Thank you. Any other board members?
Just like that, one more quick thing.
Yeah.
In our initial thinking and and planning. It's not exclusively for college level kids. It's gonna be a mix of jumpstart, where we have some technical courses as well as some college prep courses. It's really combination
Right.
of hybrid results.
Would it preclude, we're talking about high schools, I heard Mr. Ford say high schools, but would it preclude students in junior high that are extremely gifted to be able to?
Perhaps that's part of our plan.
Okay. Okay, so I mean, why not advance them if they're able to, participate in that? Mr. Ford?
So in the past, I have brought up things like JROTC, right? I think that's a good opportunity, but I wouldn't want to prioritize that. I want to prioritize those, the science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, those students. But along with what Roger Dale said, I think this would be a great opportunity for us to find someone who's been a big influence in this district that may no longer be with us, and rename a school after that person. Maybe we can come up with some ideas. I think it would be a great opportunity, get a fresh new start. Someone that maybe embodied everything that we're trying to do with this school. So maybe we'll put our heads together and come up with something nice.
All right, public comment? Okay, I did all that. All right, any other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Adjournment? Moved by Mr. Ford,
Second.
second by Dr. Trahan. We're adjourned.